Hi everyone, welcome back to these processes from the project management body of knowledge. This one in particular is controlling the schedule. Now, where does controlling the schedule fit in the overall scheme of things? As you can see, we have developed the project plan, and we've executed on that plan as well. So we've created those deliverables. But as we're going along now, after we've developed our schedule and sequenced the activities and created, defined those activities, and we've made everything happen, now we just need to control that schedule and make sure that everything remains on track, or if it doesn't remain on track, that everyone is notified and it goes through the proper processes. Controlling the schedule is the process of monitoring the status of the project to update the project schedule and managing changes to that schedule baseline if they need to occur. The key benefit of this process is that the schedule baseline is maintained throughout the project. So as you know, a baseline document is something that's locked in place at a certain point in time. So we say, this is our schedule, we don't want this to change, but let's say something happens and now it's going off track. We need to raise a change request, goes through the change control process, perform integrated change control, 4.6 in our project management processes, and then our baseline document is updated to reflect the new schedule. So updating the schedule model requires knowing the actual performance to date. So how have things been tracking? We'll need to measure it. Any change to the schedule baseline needs to go through perform integrated change control. When an agile approach is used, control schedule might also enable a burn down or burn up chart, or it might be conducting retrospectives, reprioritizing remaining work into a backlog, and determining the rate at which deliverables are produced. So that's our velocity. When we've got a third party involved, so if our work is being contracted, then regular milestone status updates or walkthroughs would be good from those contractors, just to make sure that the work is progressing as we agreed. Inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs for controlling our schedule. Inputs are project management plan, the project documents, agreements that have been made, work performance data, and organizational process assets or templates. Data analysis as tools and techniques, we'll see. The critical path method again. Project management information system, where we gather all of the information about how our project is tracking. Resource optimization, leads and lags, and schedule compression. And we have seen these techniques before, and these are just a continuing part of controlling and analyzing our schedule. Outputs that we'll see are the work performance information. So this might be our schedule performance index. It's that we've got the work performance data, remember, gets turned into work performance information, so percentages or ratios. And that turns into work performance reports, where we make them into nice charts and that sort of thing, ready for reporting to executives. We'll see schedule forecasts, change requests, project management plan updates, and project documents updates. And of course, controlling the schedule will have an input into monitoring and controlling project work, performing integrated change control with change requests, any project management plan updates, and our project documents updates as well. Let's look at the inputs in a little bit more detail. The project management plan as an input for this, of course, we're going to need the schedule management plan. So what was the process that we agreed upon to create and manage our schedule? Let's abide by that. We'll have the schedule baseline. So what did we agree and what milestones did we agree upon? The scope baseline, so our scope statement, work breakdown structure, and work breakdown structure dictionary. All of those things are our scope baseline. And performance measurement baseline. Our project documents will be an input as well, where we've got things like the resource calendars, so the project calendar as well, so what's the time frame looking like for our particular project schedule, resource calendars, and schedule data that we'll see come up along the way. Work performance data, so this is how our project is tracking, the project status, so which activities have started. This is the raw information, remember, so data goes into information, goes into reports. And we need to know things like the actual durations that have happened, remaining durations, and the physical percent complete for those activities that have or are about to be finished. Organizational process assets as an input will be schedule control tools that are existing in an organization, any monitoring and reporting methods that are used in an organization, and existing formal or informal schedule control related policies, procedures and guidelines. Does it need to go through a project management office, a steering committee, or just through the project sponsor, or is it a functional manager? So what is the actual, how does it occur in this particular organization? Let's look at the tools and techniques. We've got data analysis that we'll need to use. So earned value analysis. And this is where we're gathering that information like the budget at completion or the actual cost or the planned value or the earned value of our schedule to date. And we'll go into more detail in that in a key concepts video as well. The iteration burn down chart to see how we're tracking against what we had planned, just on a nice burn down chart there. And of course, performance reviews, trend analysis, are things going in the right direction or the wrong direction, and variance analysis. This will relate to our earned value analysis, where we're now turning that into things like the schedule performance index. So is it greater than 1 or less than 1? Have we delivered more than what we anticipated, or have we delivered less than what we anticipated? Or are we ahead of schedule, or are we behind schedule? And variance analysis will have its own key concept video as well. Our iteration burn down chart example, as you can see, this is what we had planned down here, and this is how we're tracking up here, and we're going to be one or 2 days late. So that's good to know. That's a variance in the schedule, and that's how we can actually visualize that using our iteration burn down chart. The critical path method, of course, the variance on the critical path. So did we say that this was going to take 5 days? This one was going to take 6 days. This one was going to take 4 days. And what was the actual, what has it ended up being? Maybe this has ended up being 7, this has been 8, and this has been 10. So now, of course, we've got some variance in our project schedule. We've got the project management information system, which is that, it's not just one program or IT system, it's the whole range of our process as well as the systems that we use. So maybe we're capturing the activities, maybe we're putting them on a Kanban board, and maybe we're putting them in through Microsoft Project or whatever the system is that we're using, and then we've got a set process for using all of that. All of that counts as our project management information system, or PMIS. And so we need to gather the schedule durations, what's currently happening, what has been completed, and that's how we start looking at our variance and our variance analysis for our schedule. Resource optimization, of course, we have seen, and this is where we're just looking at things like the availability of the resources. So can we use more resources? Might involve things like crashing or fast tracking our schedule, where we're throwing more resources at a particular task, or can we just motivate the resources or the people or the items involved and get more out of them for a particular time period. Leads and lags we've looked at as well as a tool and technique. Leads are where we can bring an activity forward and maybe start working at it in the same time. And lags are when we have to wait a certain period of time before the second activity can start. Schedule compression, of course, that's where we're compressing that work, maybe by fast tracking, doing things in parallel, or by crashing, where we're adding lots of resources and now we're trying to shorten the durations of those activities by throwing resources at it. Work performance information, as we know, that comes from our work performance data. So data first, which is our raw data, turns into work performance information. So this includes information on how the project work is performing compared to the schedule baseline. So this is the variance analysis now. We had planned for 10 days and it's currently 12 days. Now we're taking 1.2 times as long instead of just 1 times as long. So that could be a problem going forward. But this is how we analyze our schedule, and we'll use that using variance analysis that you'll see in the key concept videos also. Schedule forecasts will come up. So forecasts are updated and reissued based on the work performance information provided. It's that variance analysis again. Are we tracking on track? Do we need to make some amendments to our scope or our cost or our schedule to bring ourselves back on track. So what do we need to do to ensure that future performance? What do we need to do, any corrective or preventative actions? And that might result in a change request if we need to change the scope baseline or the cost baseline or the schedule baseline as well. Outputs that we'll see as part of controlling our schedule are change requests. For that very reason, we might need to raise a change request, and that will go through our perform integrated change control process, as we know, 4.6, and that will update one of those baseline documents if we need to change it to get ourselves back on track. We might have project management plan updates where we're updating the schedule baseline, the cost baseline, performance measurement baseline, and of course the schedule management plan if we're adjusting how we're measuring or creating this schedule over time. And all of those are the things that feed into controlling the schedule as part of the project management body of knowledge.